Last night we had an M9.5 solar flare. This was just a hair off from a very severe X-class flare. It did send us into an R3 strong radio blackout, which lasted a couple of hours. It has died down. We also have a random transient that is passing by right now, and that is going to amp up our solar winds, and we can definitely get into those geomagnetic storm levels today. And we are diving into a new month. Hello, new month. New opportunities, new ideas, new goals, pretty much new everything. Plus, Venus and Mars are in their rulership, so they're helping us along. We also have our moon in Aquarius energy today. So basically, it's a big day for reflection over the whole past month, and whatever was working for you or was not working for you, now is the time to reflect. Look at the data, analyze it, see where you can come up with other ideas of what you can change so it doesn't happen again, and you can move on your path easily. So as you're reflecting and processing that, it's time to figure out who or what does not need any of your attention in your life anymore, because it is time to retune yourself and change your physical reality, because some things, they just gotta go. Your path is unfolding before you, so whatever you are taking in or out of your life right now, make sure that it's in a place where it's going to make you happy, where it's going to make you safe, and where it is going to make you secure and stable. So it's a really good day in energy today. But let's check out that M-class flare. So we've been watching the sun for the past week, and 3654 right here, that gave us that very large M-class flare. It has been kind of taunting us with the 5% X-class flare probability the whole time it was on the sun, and as it heads off the limb, it actually increased the percentage. There was also a C-class flare that was associated with this high M-class. So there was 2 coronal mass ejections, a very large M-class flare, and a C-class flare right at the same time that these both went off in the same exact region. So we have a lot of data that is being analyzed right now about the coronal mass ejection from that larger M-class flare. The C-class flare did give us the CME. You can see the steady buildup of power as this started lifting off and producing that wall of plasma. And then we hit our peak, and it just very slowly tapered off. And luckily, we were able to catch both of those CMEs on our imagery, which was very cool. I love seeing these type of effects. Caught at the same exact moment. Very cool stuff. Due to the far west location, an Earth-directed component is pretty unlikely, but both Mercury and Mars will be affected. This did send us into a very strong R3 radio blackout, affecting these areas and pulsing and moving throughout these locations throughout the night. In present moment, this is where that absorption is lying. So in Europe and in Africa, they are both being affected right now. Communication issues over there. They may have some GPS navigation in high satellites or in airplanes or things like that may be malfunctioning yet again in those areas. Now the rest of our sun is fairly quiet. 3654 within the next 2 days is going to head off of the limb of the sun. So by May 3rd, we could say bye-bye. We have some potential regions that are just popping up, but really after that region goes, it's going to be very low and very slow. But we have already had several M-class flares from 3654. It did lose the gamma configuration, but we do have a strong delta hold, and it was very unstable. That's why we had this large M-class flare. Now notice the percentage here, 10% now for an X-class flare, because we have a very highly complex magnetic area. Let's look at it. It has went down in size and will continue to do so as it heads off the west limb. It has lost a sunspot due to the very large M-class flare. Proton percentage is 5%, so we are holding on to a larger chance of having an S1 solar radiation storm if we have any Earth-directed components, if this goes off yet again. But let's take an even closer look. 3654 is coming together quite nicely, getting very compacted, and don't be surprised as it heads off of the limb if we get a very large explosion. There will be no Earth-directed components, but it will be really cool to see and analyze and see the data from that. I love to see these explode. But today on May 1st, we are pretty low with our solar flares right now. We had those 3 M-class flares back to back. This C-class flare was associated with this one. They were both exactly going off at the same exact time. But we do have a good percentage. More C-class flares, we're already getting them. M-class flares, we might see more. X-class flare, there's a 10% possibility. And with that, we can expect to see some R1 to R2 radio blackouts, maybe even another R3 strong radio blackout. We have to be on the lookout for that today, but we also have to be on the lookout for the geomagnetic storm, because we are expected to reach into those active geomagnetic storm levels throughout the next 3 days. So don't be surprised if we have an enhancement in our solar winds, which we already had. This was actually unexpected and isolated event, but we did see some auroras. We're expected to see more auroras tonight. So if you're in a higher latitude position, get your camera out. But tonight, this is what that geomagnetic storm can produce. So if it does get a lot stronger, we can see this band extending into America. Canada is going to get hit with this. They usually can see some beautiful colors up there, but we might see some auroras tonight. Presently, we are around 360 kilometers per second. So we are pretty low and steady right now. As you can see, we're very, very steady. Density, pretty low yet again, so we're waiting for a shock wave of more transient influences to come into Earth. We have a plethora of coronal holes, so this will also enhance our solar winds, especially if we have any of those Earth-directed components from 3654 and the very large M-class flare that we had from there. But we do have quite a bit of them. We do have some that are Earth-facing. This can produce larger geomagnetic storms than anticipated, so we're just going to watch out for this. So here's our Schumann resonance for today. So our amplitude is very low at a power of 17. The frequency has died down quite a bit after that thunderstorm shock there in Tomsk, Russia. And I agree, energy is energy. However, you cannot cut science out of the equation with spirituality. They go hand in hand. This is the thunderstorm. But it doesn't matter, because we are purging for the collective. It doesn't matter even if you see it on a chart. Whatever you're feeling is what you are going through individually, and that's it. Everybody's ascension process is completely different from one another. Very, very unique to each individual. You don't need a chart to tell yourself that there is energy that is incoming and affecting you. Just use your discernment when you're looking at charts, that's all. So remember, today is a new month, new ideas, new opportunities, new goals, and Aquarius energy, giving you time to reflect and pick whatever you want out of your life so you can have a whole new path. Let me know if that's what you're experiencing today. Love ya.